You see this about Chalamet?
No, what?
Skip the Met Gala so you can watch the Knicks play.
It's a real fan right there.
Real fan. Real one. Real one. You know who's not a real one? Who pretends to be a real one? Spike Lee. I said it. I know.
He went to the gala, didn't he?
Yeah. He skipped game one. This is a guy, he went to Detroit to go watch these games in person. But Met Gala, excuse me, I must hobnob with the royalty of American pop culture.
Meanwhile, I haven't seen a single image of him from the Met Gala.
That's even worse.
Isn't that just a place where you go to give money? Like he gave money to donate to the Met Gala, but didn't use any money to go see his team.
You go to be seen. It's not about giving money. It's about you go because you want to be seen with all the cool kids. Oh, there's sports going on. We don't care. We're cool. We're going to dress like pianos. No.
So you're saying Chalamet is the new Spike Lee?
He's the new Spike Lee, baby.
I'm in on that.
Welcome to Oddball. My name is Amin Hassan. That's Izzy Gutierrez. We are in Miami, Florida, where playoff basketball does not exist. But if we were to turn the clock back to when playoff basketball did exist in its heyday in Miami back in the 90s, we would feel right at home because last night was throwback night hoops in the association. We had Anthony Edwards going up against Gary Payton II, pointing fingers at one another. We had Aaron Nesmith crashing, dunking off a missed free throw like he was Allen Iverson in his rookie year. And we had, of course, the return of the Sam Cassell big balls dance, courtesy of one Tyrese Halliburton. But we got to start with the big story, the biggest story of last night. Steph Curry's hurt, man.
Wow. By the way, the Heat won 3 titles in the 2000s, but sure, their heyday was the 90s.
Heyday was the 90s, man. Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, Keith Askins.
Come on.
Dan Marley, shout out to
Keith
Thunder Dan.
Askins, the third name you come up with.
Thunder Dan should have been the third name. My apologies, Thunder Dan. That was the heyday. Everything else after that, that's Hollywood. All right, but like I said, the big story: Steph Curry's hurt. He strained his hamstring last night in the Warriors' 99-88 win. It was a good hard-fought win, but he missed the entire second half because of that hamstring strain. The severity of the strain, according to Just Stats, will ultimately dictate how much time Steph Curry potentially misses. Average time missed for a confirmed grade 1 strain is about 10 days.
And this is a confirmed grade 1 strain.
Exactly. I stopped right there because Shams Charania just announced that it is a confirmed grade 1 strain. I listened to a video from Dr. Brian Suterer, who does a lot of these sports injuries, and he pointed out that the moment they said he is not cleared to return in the game, we automatically knew that is bare minimum probably a grade 1.
Well, let me add to what we already knew. The second he grabbed at his hamstring, I was like, stop the game, get the hell out. Like he kept checking it, and then he had the one drive where he actually made a tough floater, and he's pushing off. I was like, you probably did a slightly bit more damage. The second you feel something, get the heck out of there. You're too important.
Dr. Suterer, like he suspects it happened there was a step back 3 that he hit, which was again
high-arching, ridiculous.
Oh my
like
God.
when he has to go to his bench and celebrate, like he's impressed with himself.
So he says he thinks it happened on that one. It probably was aggravated on the drive because he did push off on it. And then the last straw, or the last string, I guess in this case, was him guarding Mike Conley, and he had to shuffle and move, and that's when he grabbed that hamstring and was subbed out of that after that. All right, so here's the question. Now, like I said, before we talk about how the Warriors won the game and how the Wolves might have lost the game, let's just talk about moving forward, Steph Curry. How much can the Warriors survive without him out there?
Never been more convinced they're going to win the series.
Really?
This is this is part of the Warriors' DNA, and Jimmy Butler is now, a part of that. And fortunately for the Warriors, he is Jimmy Butler, who fancies himself, a big time performer in the playoffs, right? The Warriors, I don't know if people remember this, they've missed a lot of big names during playoff runs. They've missed Steph Curry, and it was okay. They got away with it. They've missed Kevin Durant. Steph Curry was there in the finals.
Yeah, and then they lost.
They missed Kevin Durant and still got to the finals. Swept a conference finals without Kevin Durant and got to a game 6.
You remember
that if Klay doesn't get hurt, they probably win game 6 and take it to 7. So this is sort of built in their DNA. You remember the Houston series where KD went down. How good they felt, where all of a sudden, even Andrew Bogut came back for that mess. He's like, I got in here. The old school Warriors, we're going to win this thing.
It was insane.
This is what they do.
I still remember because it's like Durant's out. Oh no. And then they're like, so we get to play like it's 2016 again. And the ball was just flying everywhere. Like,
And that's part of, like, not to get off on a aside here, but that's part of what Katie didn't like. It's like, oh, there's two different versions of the Warriors. I'm a great player. I make them better. Don't give me that nonsense.
And everyone was so much happier with the other version. That's the thing. It's like, oh my God, they look ecstatic.
That's wild. But and the reason why I feel like they can recreate that is because I'm just not that impressed with the Wolves. I just don't think that you look at their roster, you look at what they do, and it's like, that's not a championship level team. Now, Anthony Edwards can elevate them at any given time to beat anybody. And if they can do that consistently, sure, he can carry a team. But he's not there yet, which makes me think that the whole team isn't there yet.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. We're going to get to Anthony Edwards and all that. I want to ask you a question. Is game 2 a must-win game for Minnesota? Because here's why. Ooh. If Golden State wins game 2, now you've bought Curry 2 games of rest. Yep. They can send him 3 and 4
You're
at that
guaranteeing
point.
A game 6. And if you do the numbers on the days, game 6, 10 days later. So that's about, enough to recover. Yeah. So if Golden State wins game 2, they could lose the next 3 and feel great about the final 2 games.
Yeah. And so then there you go. So then it is a must win for Minnesota.
I believe it is.
The reason it's a must win for Minnesota is because Anthony Edwards played like dick in the first half. You don't have to hear me say it.
Wait, is that good? I'm sorry.
His own coach was saying that he didn't bring the energy, saying, quote, it all starts with Ant. You could see the light go out for a little while. Whew. And that was, look, the first
Interesting choice of words.
There was a lot of just hanging around the 3-point line. They looked like the Boston Celtics, Izzy, in the first half of that game. Now, difference between Boston and Minnesota, difference between Jason Tatum and Anthony Edwards is in the second half, it was imminently apparent that Anthony Edwards said, I'm not going out like that.
Right.
Let me go to the rim. And again and again and again. And he attacked and he got to the free throw line and he got and ones. And then he hit a couple of threes and things seemed to open up after that. The crazy part was for most of that half, it was a 20-point game. And Izzy, is this the most competitive 20-point game that you've ever seen?
It's wild that it is. So to answer your question, it's wild that the NBA has gotten to this point where if it's a 15 to 20-point game, it's still up for grabs. Mm-hmm. And especially when you get Steph Curry out and your team has to change all the dynamics and everything, and the other team's like, no, we're still in this. We can hit 4 threes and be right there. But the Anthony Edwards thing, I did have a flashback to his days at Georgia. Like he's just floating around out there. There was a time, I think it was Julius Randle was going hard at the rim for something, and you see him literally just standing straight up, just not really doing anything at all. And I do think that hurts him. He sets the tone. He shoots too many threes when they're sort of starting off and just getting a rhythm. But it was after the game where I realized I don't think Anthony Edwards is really in tune with everything, like the game plan, the storyline, because look at his reaction when a reporter told him their 3-point shooting numbers over the last 2 games. Now, that wasn't the size of his head. It was inflated a little bit for the picture.
That's exactly what happened.
But he was shocked to hear those numbers.
They're 12 and 76.
12 of 76. Now, the previous game, they set a record for a win, right? With 3-point misses in the playoffs. You know this information. You should know this information as a leader. Don't start the game taking those threes, man. Don't add to the numbers, and then after the game look shocked like that.
Yeah, that was another thing that Chris Finch said, because he said, we talked about the energy not being there, and someone in the media asked him, is that a conversation you need to have with him? And Chris Finch was like, no. If I need to have a conversation with you about what kind of energy you need to bring before a playoff game, then we've already lost.
Does it bother you when he says the lights were out? Like that, to me, I don't love that choice of phrase.
I have a theory. My theory is Chris Finch and Anthony Edwards are in cahoots on this. This is Greg Popovich yelling at Tim Duncan in front of everybody so everyone knows, oh, crap, he did that to Timmy. I got to get in line.
Yeah, okay.
Because I just can't see Chris Finch being this antagonistic after a loss to his best player, who seems to be a really charismatic guy beyond being a great leader. It's a great leadership part that makes me think Anthony Edwards says, Coach, roast me. And that way, the Julius Randles, the Jaden McDaniels, the Rudy Goberts, no one has a sideways word
I could see it that way. If Anthony Edwards said, hey, Coach, take it out on me, I can handle it. I don't see Chris Finch coming up with that idea.
Say, coming up, hey, and this is what I want to do with the post-game presser. Let me run this by you.
Let me also, so how the Warriors can win, this is why I feel like it's just set up for them. It's probably McDaniels, right? Who on the Timberwolves is their lead defender who's going to say, okay, now I'm going to shut Jimmy Butler down?
Ooh, I think it's Ant, to be honest with you. Like, because I think McDaniels he's a little light. Like, I think he's better suited. Buddy Hield is going to keep playing like the last 2 games. I put McDaniels on Buddy Hield. He's better suited to chase. He's better suited to be long and be bothersome in that way. With Jimmy Butler, you need someone strong. Okay. You need someone who's down for the physical contact. And I think Anthony Edwards comes in there.
So this is where it's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
If they play each other and get heated and get competitive, you don't know who it's going to work out better for, because normally you'd say, yeah, that's going to get Jimmy Butler going. Mm-hmm. But Ant is right there with him. He's a bit of a crazy person himself. So if they get into it, who's more dynamic? Who can drop 50 or 60 in the game? It's Anthony Edwards. So if I'm Jimmy, I don't want Anthony Edwards on me. I want one of the other guys, and I'm going to own him like I did Drew Holiday and just sort of set that tone right there, because you're not going to be able to rely on Draymond Green shooting for an entire series.
I was going to give 2 shout-outs. One was Draymond Green shooting for the first half, 4 or 5 for 3.
There's another guy who just does stuff when his teammates are missing.
How about that dive that he had for the ball? That was like Rodman-esque.
Yep.
It was literally, we just talked about this, you and I, with Dan Lebitard a little bit ago. The Pat Riley, you need to want it like you want your last breath.
Yep.
That's what that dive was.
Yep.
That was someone who wanted his last breath. And then a huge shout out. I don't know why this guy doesn't get more opportunities. Kevon Looney.
Yeah.
I like every time he plays,
probably just
good things. Dude, every time he plays, good things happen for the Warriors. And I feel like Steve Kerr still kind of treats him like, I guess in an emergency, in a pinch, I got 5 fouls on Draymond. All right, fine.
You think Andrew Bogut's available? I think he's still tall, right?
He's podcasting with Ethan Strauss somewhere.
All right, well, let's get to the iciest play of the week here, because it'll probably take us to the next series. Iciest play. It's brought to you by Jägermeister. All right, so we've got 2 options.
Oh, we got a choice today.
We're going to choose. So it's like 2 shots at the bar. It's like, boom, which one do you want?
Okay.
First, we have Aaron Gordon with the 3-point shot to win his game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which, by the way, I could argue you could give that iciest play of the week nomination to Russell Westbrook for making the right pass.
Yes.
And then you've got Mr. Halliburton. I should say Tyrese Halliburton. Mr. Halliburton is off watching the game somewhere else, doing the big sack dance after he hit his 3-pointer, which they didn't need. They only needed 2, and they got it after an offensive rebound from a missed free throw. I feel like it's an obvious answer, no?
Yeah, look, you had to go get the ball in the middle of the traffic, come back out,
went up and got it,
dance with it, make the decision. I don't want to go for the tie. I want to go for the win.
Know how much time is left on the clock. Know how much time you have. And by the way, Ty Halliburton against Ty Jerome, and go for the tie. Go for the win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easily the iciest play of the week. Presented by Jägermeister. Serve it cold or don't serve it at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold. For more, visit Jägermeister.com. Drink responsibly. So let's get more into this game. The Pacers won both road games, take a 2-0 lead.
Sheesh.
This is the Pacers who made the conference finals last year, and everybody said that was cute. You'll never get back there.
They're halfway there now.
The Pacers were down by 7 with 48 seconds left. Now, this is the type of game that I give up on normally, but I told you recently, I've been giving up on all these games. They've been crazy comebacks. So I stuck with this one. And thank God I did. Because, look, man, every other team in the last 20 years, as this graphic says, 1-384 in the playoffs in that situation, trailing by 7 with 1:30 left in the game. This year's Pacers are 2-0. 2-0 in those scenarios. I don't know what, obviously we had Evan Mobley out, we had DeAndre Hunter out, and we had Darius Garland out. That's 2 All-Stars and a potential 6th man of the year, or a 6th man of the year candidate anyway. So you can't really kill the Cavs for losing here, but it seems like they had the same issue that the Lakers had when they played all their starters for a second half against the Wolves, is they just were fatigued by the end, and the Pacers took advantage of that.
So in NBA's history, there have been 463 games where a team won the first 2 games. In 429 of them, the team with the advantage won. Only 34 were able to come back from a 2-0 deficit.
How many of those were lost? Those 2 at home.
That's the magic number right there, right? Like the teams that went down 0-2 at home. That's a lot. I think there's 5, maybe. Like the number's a lot smaller, right?
Well, yeah,
because it's an unnatural shift of balance, right? If you remember, this happened to the Celtics in 2023 against the Miami Heat. They lost the first 2 games in Boston. And then game 3 in Miami, and it was like down 0-3. It probably isn't going to work out your way. Now, they ended up forcing a game 7, but then Caleb Martin sent them along their merry way. Look, for Cleveland, this is awful.
Yeah.
This is.
I thought you were going to say it was like the Bulls when they went up 0-2 on Boston with Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler and then lost that series.
Yes, and lost that series. Yes, that might have been the last time that happened. So we're already dealing with this is dangerous ground for the Cleveland Cavaliers. From the perspective of the Indiana Pacers, though, like I know Rick Carlisle said something to the equivalent that we got lucky.
Yeah.
They didn't get lucky. I mean, they created their own luck is what I should say.
Right.
Because they didn't, for those who didn't watch the game, it's not like they came back because they hit a flurry of threes. They just kept chipping away. They played excellent defense down the stretch. They got a little luck, I guess, in the sense that Cleveland didn't sub out as much as they should have been, and those guys started to get worn down and tired. But then the other thing was, on the offensive end, they attacked. Halliburton, who had not had a good night, got to the rim.
Offensive rebounds,
offensive rebounds, dunks. Siakam going to the rim. Halliburton on the end one. And then the cherry on top was the Halliburton Iciest player of the week. Grab the rebound, come back.
That's also a little bit of luck because the rebound has to go the right way.
But also, I believe it was Ty Jerome. Stop boxing out. His responsibility to box out the shooter, and he steps over and then just stops and stares. And Tyrese Halliburton takes a step to the right and goes up and grabs that rebound. That's not luck.
Right.
That's I played harder. I went out and I wanted it, which is crazy, Izzy, because for most of the night, the Cavs were the better team. The Cavs were the team winning the 50-50 balls. They were the aggressors. They did everything right. They didn't fall in love with the three. They took it to the rim. They got to the free throw line. They did everything right except have a little bit more stamina to finish out the game.
You should mention Donovan Mitchell had 48.
I know.
To your point about Atkinson sort of making that mistake, he just won Coach of the Year, but you forget the other guy, Rick Carlisle, great effing coach, like a phenomenal coach. So he might be Coach of the Year, but because it's his first coaching experience in the playoffs as a head coach for Atkinson, he's not the best coach in this first real playoff experience, right? I mean, did he make the playoffs with the Nets?
Yeah, well, then
All right, so I will say this though: we had the Cavaliers fans chanting overrated at Halliburton. And I don't think there's a better response in the history of sports to a chant in your name by having these two results. And yeah, he put on Twitter, overrate that. He said that after during the Milwaukee series as well. He was labeled or voted as the most overrated player
by the players.
And we said that that's just because they don't like him because he probably shouldn't have made the Olympics team by their measure. But this is the best response I've ever seen to a player being told you're not as good as you think you are.
Like the actions, not exactly
correct.
Not him saying overrate that.
No, that's not that clever.
It's not clever at all.
All right, we got Problem Slide coming up next.
Welcome back to Oddball. Amin and Izzy Gutierrez furiously doing research to find out whether
Funky Cold Medina was released in 1989.
89. I told you it was the 90s. All right.
Not the 90s.
Okay, so we got a big game tonight. Game 2, Nuggets versus Thunder. The Nuggets, of course, stole game 1 in Oklahoma City, 121-119 on Monday night, thanks to a buzzer beater. 3 from Aaron Gordon. Also, we got 2 missed free throws from Chet Holmgren, and we got Russell Westbrook playing under control cerebral basketball. All the planets and stars and the moons aligned. Izzy. Nikola Jokic called Aaron Gordon his best teammate ever. Should Jamal Murray feel a certain way about that?
I mean, probably just a little bit, right? I mean, he scored 40 and 50 points in the playoffs next to him sometimes. I also thought it was funny. There was a post, I guess it was a hotel lobby bar of somebody saying, "Wow, just scored 40 in a big game." And Nikola Jokic comes to the bar. Wouldn't most players you just go to the hotel bar and just have a drink or celebrate or do something? Like Nikola is not that unique.
No one goes to, no NBA player goes to the hotel bar. Okay. You and I might go to the hotel bar, right? But those guys, they've got something lined up somewhere else. Usually it has dinner involved, right? Like they go to restaurants is what players do. Every city has that restaurant that's going to stay open for the guys to come in. Right. But to just sidle up to like the JW, where are they in Oklahoma City?
I guess that is a little weird.
What's it, the Omni, the bar, the Omni? No, they're not doing that. The other thing about this was Michael Porter Jr. only played 3 minutes in the fourth. Russ closed the game for the Nuggets. It's a bold move by Coach Adelman, but also, isn't that exactly what Michael Malone would have done in the same situation?
100%. Look, Adelman deserves a good amount of credit. Yep. But we've seen the videos. Like, we see who the players are responding to. They're responding to Jokic. Like, he is the more animated version of himself than we've ever seen. And you can tell he wants it. And why? Who else would you go for? Who would you fight for or run through a brick wall for? And you look and you mentioned the Aaron Gordon thing, or that's why I believe he considers him the greatest teammate ever, not because of his ability, but just because of the way he approaches it. It doesn't matter what my numbers are. It doesn't matter what I actually have to do. I'm going to do it. I'm not a 3-point shooter, but damn it, I'm going to take this one right here. And yeah, I've always called him, since they won the championship, called him the greatest role player in the NBA, which is a bit of a shot at him because he was drafted,
top three
overall. And so, he's supposed to be a star, but okay. You're fine being the best role player in the league, which was what I consider him. So yeah, I think that not only was that a great shot by him, but we talked about it. That pass from Russell, like he could have justified saying, "Oh, he's not a 3-point shooter. I'm going to go to the rim."
Yeah, we need two to tie the game. I'm going to the rim or maybe get fouled like that. It's not that he wouldn't have been wrong to do those things, but also it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, man, like Russ being Russ, put his head down, and for him, it was uncharacteristic for him to hit a head like that in that situation, particularly Aaron Gordon, even though he is an improved 3-point shooter. I do want to give a shout out to David Adelman. I think it's going to be easy, and a lot of people have already done this. When they see the videos of a very animated Joker on the sideline, they surmise that,
the animated Joker is Nikola Jokic.
Oh, I'm sorry, not some
other Joker.
Not the one that's voiced by Mark Hamill. Not Joker. No, the animated Nikola Jokic on the sideline. It's very easy to surmise that, Joker's coaching and Adelman is just sitting there like twiddling his thumbs. Again, this guy's a lifer. His father, Rick Adelman, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's been around the game his whole life. He's been an assistant coach for countless years. This isn't like his second or third year. He's been around a very long time. And it's very easy for a young coach in this situation, right, interim coach, to try to prove to everybody, no, I'm in control. I deserve this job. Look at all the things that I did to prove my value and my worth here. So it's not easy to sit back to let your star player do that in that situation. Also, he's doing things and he's game planning things. He talks about it in the post game about what they did differently in the second half. He said, instead of having Joker on the block where it's easier to double because they know where the doubles are coming from, like we have them bringing it up or getting up top. And so it's harder for the doubles to have the same kind of rhythm and routine. And that way they were allowed to pick apart rather than have Oklahoma City feel very comfortable.
Well, let me just explain better what I mean by what Joker's doing, right? So if Michael Malone was there, he would be the loud one.
Yes.
He would be the one saying, damn it, guys, we're not doing. He would take the game plan and then, intensify it to make it a game day game plan. Rick Adelman. What was his first name again? David Adelman. I want to call him Nate for a second. David Adelman is doing all the X's and O's. He is giving him the game plan. He is transferring the information.
Yeah.
But in the games, if something's not going right, it is Joker who is telling them what they're doing wrong, how to fix it in an animated way so that there's no question. You're listening to me. Adelman, if he gets all angry, they don't know if he's going to be like, wait a second, don't talk to me that way or something like that. You got to let the message go through Nikola.
Real quick, Nuggets or Thunder tonight?
I think the Thunder's going to win another close game.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Propa Slot. Propa Slot is presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Oh, yeah.
You know the rules. The slot machine will generate a real DraftKings prop bet from tonight's games. If we get to the third spin, we have to take that one. If we don't want to take that one, then we can do a parlay of the reverse of all three spins. Let's get that first spin going, please.
Oh, that's faster slot machine, huh? Yeah. There's got to be a used one on the market somewhere.
Like, you want a physical one?
I mean, something that just acts a little faster. Jason Tatum, under 3.5 threes. That's at minus 145 right now on DraftKings. He was 4 of 15 for threes in game one. That's over. So, right, it makes you say, wow, what a terrible game. But he's going to shoot a bunch of them. The Celtics are 15 of 60. It's the exact game that I was talking about before the playoffs. Are they really going to shoot 60 threes in a playoff game? And if they miss a bunch of them, what's that going to look like? I don't like this bet. I think he's going to keep taking them.
I think he's going to take jacking them. Yeah, give me the next one. Look, there's nothing about them that screams we're going to adjust by taking less threes.
Not from him either. It's not like he has a counter move outside of the push-off and the step to the side. Jalen Williams, over 5.5 rebounds. Wow, that's plus 100 right now. Man, I wish I would have a game log of how he's been rebounding lately. But, it's a desperation game for them. He's got to be very active. But I thought the same thing about Aaron Gordon when they played in a game recently, Game 7, and he wasn't hitting the boards. He was just game planning. So, I don't know.
Look, it's hard because Joker puts pressure on their bigs, meaning there's more of a need for guys to go ahead and grab rebounds. I like
let's do it.
I'm going to take it. Over 5.5 rebounds.
Jalen
Williams, plus 100 on DraftKings Sportsbook app. That's going to do it for Oddball. Happy playoffs, everybody.